Hi, this is Sean D'Souza, and you're listening to the 3-Month Vacation Podcast. This podcast isn't some magic trick about how to work less. Instead, it's about how to really enjoy the work that you do and to enjoy your vacation time. One of those really nasty things that you have to do in business is to find a uniqueness. Now, uniqueness seems like it needs to be for the company, and that's kind of the mistake that people make. They look at something like Volvo and they think of safety, or they think of Apple and they think of sexy, or whatever. But the point is that each product, or every product, every service has to have its uniqueness. And often when you first launch the product or you have the service, you don't know what that uniqueness is. And you put it out in the market and then you start getting testimonials. And there is this thing that you can see, this pattern in the testimonials, which is what this podcast is about. It's the 5th out of 6 reruns, and it shows you how to look in your testimonials and dig out that uniqueness from there. It's like a retroactive kind of behavior. It's more fun and it's less stress. When I was in advertising, and this was going back to the 90s, I heard this story about Guinness beer. I don't know how true this is, but Guinness beer ran this campaign, which is Guinness is good for you. And then they decided to check whether people were listening to the advertising, had got what the advertising was all about. So as they're doing the survey, as they're doing their validation, they meet this guy and they say, "Does advertising influence you?" And he says, "No, advertising doesn't influence you." And they said, "Oh, you're drinking Guinness. Is that because of advertising?" And he said, "No, advertising has no effect on me. The only reason I drink Guinness is because it's good for me." This short in-between episode is about validating your uniqueness. How do you validate your uniqueness? It's hard enough to create that uniqueness. I mean, there you've got a product or a service or a workshop or something, and you've worked very hard to create that factor of uniqueness, but uniqueness itself is pointless. It's when you get that echo, that's when you know, wait a second, this is working. So how do we make this a survey question without it being a survey question? If you read the brain audit, you know that there are 6 questions that you ask a client. And one of the questions is, what is the obstacle? Then what did you find after buying it? And then what was your greatest benefit as a result of buying this course or this product? And then the 4th one is, what 3 other things did you find? Something to that effect. And what you need to do is you need to go through like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 testimonials that you've got and look at those 3 points. Now that's the 4th question. It's not the first question, the second, not the third. It's the 4th question. It's almost like at that point in time, the customer lets down their guard and they start thinking of the reasons why they bought into something, why they bought into that product or service. And what you'll find is that there is this consistency that seems to come from those questions. So they're just writing 3 points. They don't have to write a long paragraph. And I think it frees up the mind a bit. So the other day I was going through the testimonials for this little book that I'd written about how to take better photos with your iPhone. It's not for Android, just for iPhone. And if you look at the uniqueness of that product on the page, it says this doesn't have 17 steps or 21 steps. It doesn't say exactly this, but it says it just has 3 or 4 steps that you need to take to get these great photos. It's very, very simple. And then in those testimonials, as we get to question number 4, people have echoed exactly that. That it just takes 3 or 4 steps. That it just takes 3 or 4 steps. It just takes 3 or 4 steps. So it's one of those 3 points that they put down. But now that's telling you, without a doubt, that was one of the things that was really interesting. And that's how you know that your uniqueness has been validated. That you put out a uniqueness at one end, and the benefit that the client got, maybe one out of just 4 benefits, but the benefit that they got was exactly that. I know it sounds a little tricky, doesn't it? It's not tricky. It's just validation. You say Guinness is good for you, and the client doesn't necessarily admit to listening to advertising or reading what you've put out there, but then they come back with the echo. And that's how you know it's working. Pretty cool, isn't it? So what are you going to do next? Well, you've already got a copy of the Brain Audit. If you haven't got it, get the copy of the Brain Audit. Read that so that you understand the whole basis of how you get these testimonials. Now that you've got those 6 questions, you send them out to your customers, and then what you get is this validation or lack of validation. You might get something and you realize, oh, wait a second, none of them are saying what I'm trying to project. And so now we've got to work on it. Because when you think about it, any product, any service, any workshop, anything that you have, it has to have uniqueness. Otherwise, it's just like anything else. And so why should the client buy from you? And more so, why should the client buy from you at a higher price? So do the test. Find out whether it's working for you. I think this is one of the most important things you can do for your product or your service today. Put your uniqueness out and then find out, is the echo coming back? Is it really good for you? That brings us to the end of the podcast. So what's happening in Psychotactics land? Well, if you are still getting stuck on that uniqueness, then a good way to solve that problem is to be part of 5000 BC. 5000 BC is a place where introverts meet and where you ask these questions, these problems that are bugging you, you're struggling with it, and you don't know how to solve it. Well, you could get a very expensive coach at, $2,000 a month, or you could join 5000 BC, which is ridiculously inexpensive. So check out 5000bc.com and start off the decade in a slightly different way, in a way that allows your questions to be answered, but also to get pertinent questions, to get these pointed questions to make your own thinking better and then, of course, your results better. So we'll see you in 5000bc.com. On the self-study front, if that's what you're asking, there is the article writing self-study, which will be out in March, on March 28th, and the info product self-study, which is out on Jan the 25th. I'm looking at the sheets in front of me right now. So Jan 25th and March 28th. And to get those goodies, as well as to put yourself on the waiting list, you have to go to psychotactics.com and just put in the 2 letters AW, which is article writing goodies, or psychotactics.com/info goodies. And you get the goodies and you're on the waiting list and you get the notification when this course is available for you. There are only 25 copies, so make sure that you are on the waiting list. And that's it from Psychotactics Land. We'll see you in 5000 BC. Bye-bye.